Good day everyone. Time for more bits of Black Isle shenanigans. This time running through the upgraded version of the dungeon. It's a bit unloud tonight. Let's see what this first room has in store for us. If it'll be the Garbos or Lizardmen. Lizardmen it is. It occurs to me I had the wrong bar on. The siren go. Giant fish. Reminder. You can already hear him. Reminder that when the lizardmen are here in the room, then Death will be the necrophagous beast that will show up. And Garm will be what's show up in the event of the Garbos being what's inhabit the area. This is embarrassing for him. He's glitched out and he's stuck in the wall. Let's go ahead and get him to go away. Yeah, sometimes when you do this, you leave and re-enter the room. It will swap enemy sets. So we could have the Garbos if we come back. Could. It's not always the case. And swap it did. Completely missed that one. That's alright. Alright, they go to grab that one. Yeah, since it's a new enemy set, these little buggers will be back. What's wrong with my aim? Okay, let's let our little sorcerer heal us. That's a good lass. I do. There we go. This stick is not the most responsive, unfortunately. It's probably something I can I figured they would share out. Okay, let's switch back over to Rusty. Okay, that's one. Let's get the other. Good. And I'll take these two guys. That's easy. There is an augment that allegedly increases Rift Crystal drops if you equip it on a pawn. I believe it's an augment. But unfortunately the Rift Crystals that it drops. Wait. I think it's the Fortune augment. Okay. No, what it is yeah, it is the Fortune augment. I'm pretty sure. And it behaves appropriately in the mainland because it further increases the drop rate of giant gold coin patches. But in Bitter Black, it instead, well, those don't drop from enemies. It instead increases Rift Crystal drops. Unfortunately, the type of Rift Crystals it makes drop are the flakes, which are worth 30 Rift Crystals. So, yeah. If they were even the white crystals that are worth 2,000, it'd be pretty decent for people. Like you could see someone swapping that on a pawn. It also, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't stack as well, so you just need one pawn with it on for it to work. But again, it's not particularly useful. Also, if you're playing in hard mode, those giant gold coin patches drop at such a rapid rate. There's really no need to attempt to boost it, but it would be barely noticeable. So, let's see what kind of Drago we have in here. Diamonds, no rusty bar. Yeah, we'll keep it on for now. Surprised there wasn't anything in those containers. How am I missing you every time? So, a little tip, if you're... Well, I suppose I could go over this when I actually play the class, but it would know to do as well on here. So, if you're a fighter, or the like, or a warrior, a good way, or you'll have difficulty hitting him since he's flying most of the bloody time. But if you deal enough damage to his tail while that's dangling down while he's in the air, you can knock him over out of the sky and he'll be flopping on the ground a bit. Mind you, you can break the parts as he's decomposing to a certain point. Looks like we didn't get the wings in time, but we did get the horns. Well, we got half balls. But the issue is if you run, at least especially with Thunder Wyvern, or Wyverns in general, if you run towards him as a melee, he's going to strafe backwards while in the air. And it becomes quite difficult to reach his tail since he's doing that. Since he's just basically dangling a carrot in front of you. Also, reminder, here's the place if you want to farm with Curse of Dragons. It doesn't have to be post Diamond, it can be the initial version of Bitter Black as well. Even before you fight the Gazer, you can farm on Curse of Dragon here. You just... Do we happen to have one on us? Yeah, just drop a rancid bait meat and it'll spawn. Should be good for, depending on how quickly you kill him, about 2 encounters per meat. What you do is you kill him, you exit the room, you come back in, and then there'll be another one there. Sometimes, if you're really quick, you can get a third before the meat expires and you have to place another one. But yeah, so dangling his tail down, Wyvern, Drake, worms don't really fly. I don't think I've ever seen one fly. Well, with the exception of when he clipped through the wall and had the script told him to realign himself, so he flew back to the middle of the room and landed, but that's a bit different. Basically, okay, so what I'm trying to say is just wait for he starts his breath attack and then he'll be still, he won't move after that. So that's your chance to run forward and grab onto his tail and whack it a couple times with your sword, or whatever you're wielding as a warrior, sword or hammer, and you'll knock him out of the sky and render his heart open for examination. This is... Okay. If they come in here, we'll realize. So that's all of them. No. Going to need another. Turns out these terms are quite useful at times. Shame this one was pretty much wasted though. Oh, but we just got the replacement, so I guess it's fine. No, that's a different one. Oh no. Also, remember, pre-diamond, you open this door with the key over there. You fight some scaly sorcerers and a dark knight. Well, skeleton lord, that's what they're actually called. But now it's here, and there'll be a couple poisoned undead. So we're going to grab the key if it's respawned over here. Should be. And we'll go say how you do. Yes, we're here to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. And fire's the way to go with these lads. Even over holy. Do watch out for that gas. Do not get hit by it. The thing about it is, you might feel like these things are just really tanky, as it, well, like they just don't take much damage, but on the contrary, it's not that, it's just they have an absurd amount of health. Which is really a distinction without a difference, I suppose, but, well, not quite, because if it was because they just had really high defenses, like say a Fire Drake has really high physical defense, then you would need a certain amount of strength to even be able to damage them. But in their case, it's not high defenses, it's just high HP. Should be... no. Should be a living armor right here, if death hasn't spawned, which he hasn't, because we're here. She was running over there to pick it up, wasn't she? This isn't really efficient, but it amuses me, so it's one. Now, see, she could have blocked that. She didn't even try. Okay. Yeah. It's actually a bit impressive. Yeah, if I gave Katarina some Heaven's Keys, I didn't do that, did I? Bloody hell, I know I was forgetting something. You seem to be after me. It's no good. We're just going to have to hold us off so I get to spare long. That or... need an opening. There we go. I can do no... Well, maybe. I need him to run over here a bit. So, not quite. Okay, there we go. Wow. I'm actually not certain if this will damage him or not, to be honest. Dare say the answer is no. But this is the kind of thing that can happen if not enough of your party is equipped with enchanted weapons. So it's a bit of a shame, but just have to distract him enough for your sorcerer to finally finish him off. All we need is Katarina to get a couple nice brain splitters. Then with her Harley daggers. See, she damages him. Okay, run away from that. Why aren't you trying to cast spells? See, that's fine if you will get it off in time. This is another point for the quick cast sorcerers. She's able to get these spells off very quickly. Times 32. Whereas if she was a regular sorceress, she would have had even rougher time getting her spells off. A lot of this just comes down to the pawn knowledge that these two have. They're lacking very severely in the bestiary knowledge department. So the reason you may be wondering, wait, you on your initial playthrough you used offline pawns and they seemed fine. Well, that's because I rented those pawns when they were max level. So even though they were offline pawns, they had really nice bestiary knowledge. But these, I tried setting. I did it after I set myself and Katarina down to 10, which is the lowest level I can set us with this mod. Which means they had beginning of game level bestiary knowledge, just some very minor random stuff. So we've learned not to do that. Okay, love, you can go back to your from my blades now. See, that's a point for... It really is a pain when most of your team can't damage something because it's immune to physical damage, or with the metal golems immune to magic. But those encounters are few and far between. It's just when they do show up, it's the big sad. Let's see what we have in here. Sounds like a frostworm. So, notice how his head went through the bloody wall there. That arena glitched into the ground then. This room's a bit buggy if you hadn't realised. Something that I keep neglecting to mention, keep meaning to, but just for whatever reason not getting around to, is that happened. Alright, Frostora. You can try all you want, mate. She's immune to that Garbo. I'm glad he's being real dumb and trying to possess them and grab them instead of healing himself. That can be a bit annoying when he wants to spam that. Okay, so one thing you may have noticed about Dragonkin is their tails and their heads don't really have collision detection on them when it comes to environment. Meaning, let's grab these, I suppose. His entire tail can just clip right through the wall like it's nothing, and the same with his head. Now when this happens, not only is it out of reach for you, but they will, if they get too far fuzzied like that, they will trigger their... Oh, here's a cursed dragon, oh dear. They will trigger their... Oh yes, I wanted the rusty bow. It's a little prevention script that will make them fly into the air and recenter themselves in the room. Alright, this isn't so good. There we go. Finally got on that crystal. What I bloody was. Yeah, damn. I seem to have clipped through the other side. Okay, now he's going to rear back. Am I? If he's stupid when he does that, it takes him an eternity to fire his breath, but it will off right in the middle. Wow, that's a bit close to that right to me. Oh yes, by all means take off to the sky. Well, say too. It's a miracle he didn't. Normally he'd end up on that bridge up there. Reminded these rooms are very buggy. These little tower rooms. Big tower rooms, really. Quite buggy. Also, because a dragon's a bit different than another dragon can, because he doesn't have like breakable walls in the line. So the horror smack his parts and break them as he's decaying doesn't really apply. Guess I'll get it. Never bloody use it, but forgive it. Also, if you're farming him, do be aware that his breath attack will rot your perishables, like your blessed flower. That's what we like to see. We call that teamwork. And 3 armor. Great pictures out. What's the light blur over there? It's this vase. This glowry vase. That's what it was. No, it wasn't. I don't know why. It looked blue and rather bright. Comparatively bright. Okay, should be more Strigoi up here. Unless that maelstrom, the random maelstrom she cast. Garble them all up. Don't think he did that. Actually, go ahead. Let's see if we can finally show on stream how to get a blood red crystal. No. The struggle's real. You basically have to let them drain somewhat until their tail starts glowing, and then before they fully absorb the blood, so while they're still glowing, you need to kill them. And fortunately, yeah, right here, we need to kill it really quickly. And there's a blood red crystal. They get stronger when they slip, so do be careful. That's why it hit me so hard there. Something to be aware of. Katarina? Really? So, what happened to you two? Must have finally hit the kill count for those. You reach kill counts a lot better when there's other people playing and actually renting your pawn. But unfortunately, we haven't had that look so far. Maybe if Capcom gets off the bums and finally officially announce the sequel, they'll get people to hop back on again. Right now it's probably most of the really hardcore players that are still playing. And a lot of those are pretty like me and they like to just run solo all the time. Whereas I quite enjoy watching the pawns do their nonsense, training them and the like. So they don't even use pawns. So of course no rentals. That and a lot of people that were already playing on console just got the switch to the version of the game that came out for the next gen of the consoles, as opposed to switching to PC. So, c'est la vie. I feel like I should clarify. There are plenty of people that played on PC, but the ones that were really into raising the pawns and such, the ones that started the pawn sharing club and the like, they mostly stuck with consoles. Hence why it's so difficult to find really well set up pawns in the Rift, even amongst the top ranked ones. Suppose we should do another fight up here. Kicks and giggles. Evil eye. Recognize that particular voice line. I have a rusty bar, so I need to switch to this one. It's actually kind of important to do bar damage. Mind the Hellhounds are the strongest kind of enemy that's not named Garm in the game. Even though they were already in the game before Dark Arisen came out. They're stronger than Wargs. Wargs are a bit stronger than... Wait, or... And they work really well in teams. That's a bit of a puzzle. A lot of monsters have very... What's the word I'm looking for? Why is my mind gone completely blank all of a sudden? This is actually embarrassing. Oh, you can't get Tarted Mantle here. How about that? Stop jumping over chests. You're pushing your luck. Really? I don't need it, but I'm going to grab it anyway, just because it's a really nice cloak. If you're curious, the Tarted Mantle is sort of similar to Ancient Circlet. It's not as potent as Ancient Circlet, but once it's fully upgraded, it will have several debilitation resistances up to around 15% of each. So it actually makes a pretty good combo with it to cover a lot of little nasty stuff that you don't want to be afflicted with. What was I saying? Alright, kill counts. So a lot of monsters in the game have very fair kill counts. There's enough to where it's like, okay, I've killed enough of them. I'm starting to figure this out. So it feels about right that pawns would have really figured them out as well by that point. But then there are others. The most infamous of which are salamanders, with them needing such a high number and always being very difficult to find. Well, being sort of a rare spawn, and when they do spawn in rather lowish numbers, every other lizardman type enemy may spawn in similar numbers, although like Geo-lizardmen, for example, or lizardman sages, but might still spawn in smaller numbers like that, but they're not nearly as rare. There's a chest over here. Corpse nettles. I'm pretty sure if you gobble these, they will, yeah, they go into curatives, don't they? They restore a lot of health, but they inflict chaos on you. So that's a big no-no. Cockatrice and cursed pawns is what's in there now, as opposed to Crater Goblin and a couple Gore Cyclops. Meaning this should be hobgoblins. Yeah. Good work, team. Okay, Grandma. Oh yeah, alchemical cloak. Some of you may have noticed this, but the alchemical cloak is the non-tattered version of the Tarted Mantle. So at what point the cloak Savon was wearing was this. But over time and adventuring, got a little bit faded, was a bit worn. So that's pretty neat. Being said, the resistances are completely different, so figure that out. Figure that out. I suppose we'll just go back. Oh, right, we need to go this way. For some reason I thought we'd already came through here. I just ain't been with it this week. Just fall down here for that. It's not very conducive to living a long life. Up here, maybe. No. It's that. What's are they doing? That took a lot longer than it should have. I don't know what that was about. Okay, so Eliminator or Garland? Looks like Eliminators. Bugger all. Cheeky blighter. No, I think that had plenty of warning. Why aren't you fighting? That was a bad time for that to die. You know the drill. Swap it over here, swap it there. Actually, I've never checked if... Which bow do I even have? Yeah, I have Darkening Storm. What did I never check? Oh, I've never checked if leaving it in Katarina's infantry would still work. I've been under the impression... Actually, I was in the Arisen's infantry. There's another alchemical cloak. Hospitals. This cockatrice, when in this room, is very buggy. Likes to glitch out on the ledges. Speaking of ledges, show you a bit of a tricky way to enter the room over there. Because again, corrupted pawns are a right pain, or can be. There's one here we killed. Don't remember that. Pawns must have gotten that one. So we just head in here. That's another way in, of course, to the courtyard. Bleached lens. You should remember that. Short bow. It's one of the quite strong ones. Or by all means, come back. There are 3 ranger pawns up here. You should have stayed in range. Quickly run over here. Yeah, because there's one over there. And he's a right bastard. Yeah, there's one over there. And now Death's here. Oh no. This is an actual disaster. Okay, let's see if we can't escape before our pawns get caught. Oh no. Well, bugger. I'm sure there were worse times for Death to spawn, but I certainly can't think of them. But only one thing left to do now. Because I'm not remaking these pawns on stream, it'll be too tedious for you to witness. They should have auto saves when we got into the room. There. Alright kids, let's try that again. Unsail. All 3 of them in one whack. Yeah, let's just do this. Stop being cute. Or just move your big bum. You blocked me shot on the pawn. Also, do watch out because the secondary explosion of Cockatrice's petrification breath can and will. You jock. Look at you. Okay, let's despawn Death. Now, mind you, we have some rangers up there to take care of. We'll go a long way. That's Arena. What are you doing? I think she might be a masochist. Just maybe. Alright. Well, Storeford. There we go, Storeford. Alright, Pawns, let's see what you... You have a shield. Use it for the lava ball, it's good gnarly. Eliminators in particular, she should just wreck. Perfect block city. I got your job done eventually. Also, yeah, you can get Cursed King's Bell from these lads. Kill them and steal their loincloths. How embarrassing for them. Oh, sure enough, that tree has a hitbox. I don't get it either. There was one up here. Seem to have been mistaken. Let's fix that flower again. I'm actually going to check and see if... Yeah, it works in her inventory. Guess we learned today. Right, I need to go in there. We have no hobgoblins in a circle. Most difficult room in the game right there. So it spawns in this chest now. Wow, some people really like that one. They make crap. Well, you made a big arrow, mate. You should have stayed still. Didn't say that, did it? Go ahead, open it up. A bit disappointing. Alright, let's just a bit to just a bit. Let's go in here, dump off our junk at barrack, and go kill a giant eyeball. Oh, funny Lyneth. Keep this up next time Death gets here. I'll just let it be. Just let it be. Right is rain. Okay, let's go to the discover. That's a lightning. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. I'm assuming we completed a quest that I didn't notice. So I've got those. Are we going to bother fighting them anymore on this run? I don't know. We have plenty of Sovereign's Mantles anyway. Fucker. Where'd you last come from? Can't say I've ever had that happen up here before. Judging it by how late they spawned in. Maybe one of those cases where... Now these, yes, but not those. Let me see you. I think the game's trolling me. How do I miss that one? Sulfur, is it? Now see, they fight those fine, which really makes me think it is just the fact they don't have very good knowledge. See, Lizardman knowledge is quite basic for them to have, even at like level 10. Because again, one of the first quests you can go on is the bloody cleaning out the well, and a lot of basic Lizardman info carries over to the other variants. So that's nice. Like leather gloves. Horns. Oh. Okay. Let's get our lantern back here. Where'd you come from? Love how the barlight meteors make the water splash up like that. You got to be joking. Well, this is going to be fun. Let's seem rather slow, don't you? Your turn. Okay, kids. You have fun with that. Let's try to take out the Eliminator. wouldn't let me grab on because she was clipped through the staircase. Oi lad, that's nonsense that you can hit me from there, but I can't hit the last the other area from there. Okay. Seriously, Lantern. Why though? Oh, right, need to switch back to the rusty bow. Get out. Yeah, oh, I got that fulmination. Just a bit slow. So the other room set, or the other enemy set in here is just a bunch of corrupted pawns. You're not going to open it? Really? That's funny. That isn't. We fought enough man-eaters. How are you still non-knowledgeable of them? I can tell she is because of that voice line she just had. It's so small, it's no threat to us. That's typically some, oh, they don't know the first thing about them kind of lines. Doesn't make any sense. You're a strange bomb. Okay. So, basically, little tip about Gazer is if you chop off enough of the tentacles, it can trigger the attack where he starts spouting out big ones from the ones you can do towards poking himself in the eye. Don't think we succeeded though. Not quite. Let's see if some spawned in here. Okay, now they are. Pay attention to me, lads. That was rude. Oh no, she's silenced. She can't cast spells anymore. Whatever will we do? I'm spawning down here, which is a bit of an issue. Right, I have a bow. I just don't have any bloody aim. What's wrong? Okay, that one just went somewhere. There we go. Come on, come on. You've seen me do this enough, you should. Yes, see, you've got the right idea, you just need to get over here. Okay. Oh, that one's already cut. Okay. Should be about to do his super attack. Which means game over. Good as gold. This fight's not quite going as smoothly as I'd like, but it's partially my fault for not killing enough tentacles up high before dropping down. I was explaining too much and not counting. I think it's around 8 to 10. You typically will do it. I don't know. Once fails, you can just latch on, climb up, and just smack him in the eye directly. Let's open up a shortcut again. Speaking of, how are the pawns doing? Oh. Actually in surprisingly good shape. Contrast this to the first time we fought the Gazer with this glue. Oh, of course he all damaged all the heck. Look at you. That was the most defensively sturdy one. Only keeps getting wrecked. For shame. Yeah, we don't need those. Actually, no, we'll withdraw. Okay, we need Heaven's Keys. Heaven's Keys. I should definitely have some more of those, pretty sure. Yeah. Have more than that too, it's just I only had the one extra set. Gold forged. And she has them as well. It would be really neat if pawns were clever enough to, oh, I'm fighting a spectral enemy. I must swap to me enchanted daggers, but fortunately they can't quite go that far. But next time we fight some living armors, hopefully I'll remember and I can just swap it over to those and we'll be ready to go. thing is, if these two were functioning properly, so that if they had better bestiary knowledge, the fighter would be drawing quite a bit of aggro between perfect blocks and spamming dragons more and the like. And then Katarina as well, just because Strider pumps out so much damage. So she would be a lot freer to cast her spells. She would also be casting them a lot quicker than she is, whereas now she runs around a lot confused about what to do, because lacking bestiary knowledge. So yeah. Well, if anything, I suppose these two prove how important bestiary knowledge is on a pawn's behaviour. All the greater, because their equipment is spectacular, and they're plenty leveled high enough to be holding their own. Yeah, especially. But still a bit of a struggle for them. But alright, I think that'll just about do it for this stream. Just have 2 more thirds of the dungeon to go through. And then I'm not sure what we'll do actually. I suppose the playthrough would be over for the assassin. Next one. What do we have left? We have Fighter, Strider. I really want to do Mage. Or Warrior. Range is fine. Sorcerer. Guess we'll go with one of those, obviously. Yeah, I can't say I'm particularly interested in playing through as a mage, and definitely not a warrior. Warrior would just be watching me do this constantly. Jump, light attack. Over and over and over. And I imagine it would not be the most compelling thing to watch. I assure you it's not the most compelling thing to play. That being said, you can use Warrior's abilities. Well, one thing about Warrior is they only get 3 abilities instead of 6, because they only have 1 weapon. I think that's really silly, and they should have let them have the full 6 regardless. But for whatever reason they didn't. But I'm not overly fond of the skills they get anyway, honestly. A lot of them are kind of clunky, chargey up, big hit skills, and those have never really been my thing. I suppose I could do this monologuing over here. At the Rift Crystal, let her heal. Okay. I like the way I came over there and stopped speaking. Bloody hell. What's wrong with me? And Mage, well, I've already explained why I don't particularly care for mages. I was about to say I could just use a rusty staff, or like a rusty, a silent, a golden, and then an annealed staff. And I could go play through the base game and debilitate. I suppose I could do that. You can get pawn knowledge doing that. where you just show them all the debilitations you can give various enemies. But the thing about that is, Sorcerer is better, much better at that kind of thing than Mage is, because of high miasma. That absolutely wrecks when it comes to debilitating enemies. Mage doesn't have anything. Like, you have... It's one of the ice spells, where it's sort of like an ice version of Fulmination, except much shorter range and not nearly as good, where you sort of emanate a current of frosty air around yourself. Now that's pretty good at it, but again, it's a lot smaller in AoE than Fulmination is, so you have to get a lot closer. But again, as a sorcerer, you can use Fulmination, or you can just cast High Miasma to make a big Cloud in the room that has a lot of ticks to attempt to debilitate enemies. So yeah, I don't think the Mage would be very... Besides so with that out of the question, I'd pretty much be playing it with just these strongest spells it has available to it. And it's just against Sorcerer, really, just a bunch of offensive spells. So yeah, really not feeling the Mage playthrough, or the Warrior. But all that stuff is in the future at some point. Probably won't jump, or probably won't do like I did this time and immediately jump into another playthrough after finishing this one. I'll give it a little bit of a breather this time. Well, unless I start playing like garbage. Well, I have been playing like garbage the entire time, but if it ends off really badly as well, then I might just respite. But oh well, I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and wrap up. That'll be all for this stream. So, see you next time, and hope you enjoyed. Merry Christmas.